and again, I'm sorry if this is like going back to something I was yapping about earlier, but when you like are evil, or you just are like someone who doesn't really give a shit about manipulating people, like Edward Bernays, you look at that and you're like, what is that? I wonder if I could use that same aspect of humanity to sell cigarettes. And so that's when, you know, the story of him selling cigarettes, right? Like this is like his, basically one of the things he figured out is if you can attach your brand to a social movement, then, and get people to start using your brand as a symbol that they support whatever that movement may be, you're going to sell more shit. Now, this is every commercial that you see now. It's like every commercial that you see now is using those techniques. So people will see some company has suddenly become a huge advocate for a social movement in the zeitgeist. And if you don't know about Edward Bernays, you're like, God damn, I guess Starbucks has really become interested in protecting the earth. You know what I mean? But and I'm not saying people at Starbucks aren't, but when you're buying what's it called? I don't know, ethical coffee. You know, but there's big signs everywhere about the coffee's ethical. You didn't even know coffee was unethical. You're like, fuck, I've been drinking blasphemy coffee all this time. Oh my God. And,
unethical coffee.
But what they're doing there is they're like, look, when you're buying this, you're not just buying coffee, you're helping. And so now you have taken their philanthropy, their philanthropic instincts, and hacked that to sell more coffee.
Have you ever seen like the numbers of people that are working in chocolate, that are working in like horrible conditions? Have you ever heard of this? Jamie, find out about chocolate. Someone was telling me that chocolate in many ways, I have to be careful about this because I'm not sure if they're right. Let's look up what it is. But they were connecting, we were talking about cobalt mines. And they said, have you ever looked into chocolate and chocolate production? It's like, here it is. Mars Wrigley factory fined after 2 workers fall into chocolate vat. Well, that's not it. I think they're talking about cacao farming, and that I think he was insinuating that they used slave labor at some of those places.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, that's the God, who was I talking to, man? God damn it, I have such a soggy brain. Oh man, they were talking about how they
child labor and slavery in the chocolate industry. This is it. Jesus Christ. Okay, can you make that larger for my shitty eyes? Chocolate is a product of the cacao bean, which grows primarily in the tropical climates of Western Africa, Asia, and Latin America. The cacao bean is more commonly referred to as cocoa. So that is the term that will be used throughout this article. Western African countries, mostly Ghana and the Ivory Coast, supply about 70% of the world's cocoa. Is it coca or cocoa? How do you say that?
I don't know.
Because I always say cocoa, like
I don't
hot
know.
cocoa.
Cacao.
Cacao.
Shitty, healthy
COCOA, but it's not cacao because the cacao bean, and then it's coca.
Cocoa.
Okay. The coca they grow, sorry everybody, chocolate they grow and harvest is sold to a majority of chocolate companies, including the largest in the world. In the past few decades, a handful of organizations and journalists have exposed the widespread use of child labor and in some cases slavery on coca farms in Western Africa. Child labor has been found on coca farms in Cameroon, Guinea, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, although since most of Western Africa's coca grown in Ghana and the Ivory Coast, the majority of child labor cases have been documented in those 2 countries.
Fuck.
Yeah.
You don't like it
says Brazil too. Scroll up a little bit.
You just don't think that, do you?
No.
When you're eating a Kit Kat.
In recent years, evidence has also surfaced of both child labor and slavery on coca farms in Brazil. Coca workers there face many of the same abuses as those on coca farms in Western Africa. Fuck. And then Latin America, too, they're saying.
$1 per day.
Jesus Christ.
$1 per day. A Kit Kat's 4 days work.
Isn't it crazy that chocolate is like love, and there's like chocolate stores, come in and buy chocolate. Like
Valentine's
if you walk
Day.
by a chocolate store, You never say, oh, child labor.
Oh yeah, a lot of kids died for that fucking chocolate you're giving for your.
A lot of little tiny unformed bodies are being forced to dig holes in the ground.
Dig holes, just getting
Carry
sick,
shit.
getting malaria.
Ugh.
Yeah, this. Oh God, I'm sorry. Whoever told me this, they went on a tour of the Colosseums in Italy, and the person giving the tour was talking about how the horrible shit the Romans used to do in the Colosseums, it was just pure brutality, and the guide says, but it's just as brutal now, but in a different way, and that's what she's talking about. It's like, yeah, we don't have Colosseums where we're like throwing Christians to lions and laughing as they get eaten by a lion, but we, most things that you are indulging in is just something fun, a little bit of chocolate, your fucking iPhones, the cobalt, whatever it is just soaked in misery and violence and suffering. Like the whole thing still is interconnected. Yeah. I mean, now that being said, what are you supposed to do about that? Are you gonna stop eating chocolate or using your phone?
Well, that's what's crazy. It's like they've got us addicted. Particularly, well, chocolate would be an easier one, but phones. We are all willingly addicted to these things. We are all checking our email and posting stuff and using it for our podcasts, and you're using it. It's a device. It's important. You have to have it.
You have to have it.
But it's all connected
to
cobalt mining, which is one of the most horrific things that's happening right now on planet Earth. And if people in the cities in America were forced to live like that, everyone would be up in arms. But yet people are tweeting about letting people through the border crisis. We have this border problem. We need to help these people. They're tweeting it on a phone made by slaves. Yeah. Which is the wildest thing ever.
It's very odd. It's very odd.
And rarely discussed.
It's ignorance. And like this is in Buddhism, there's three, like the root of suffering. One of them is ignorance. And ignorance is not like you're ignorant, you're a dumbass. It's like you're actively ignoring shit.